The private dining room at Le Bernardin was everything my brother Andrew had promised. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, white tablecloths so crisp they could cut glass, and a wine list that required a sommelier just to lift it. 30 guests had gathered to celebrate Dad's 65th birthday. The Sterling family in all its glory. My parents, my 3 brothers and their wives, assorted cousins, aunts, uncles and family friends who'd known us for decades. I sat between my younger brother Nathan and his wife Claire, picking at my Dover sole and listening to Andrew hold court about his latest real estate acquisition. Tribeca Penthouse, he announced, showing photos on his phone. 6,000 square feet. Purchased for $18 million. Impressed murmurs circled the table. That's down from the asking price of $22 million, his wife Melissa added. Andrew's negotiation skills are legendary. It's all about leverage, Andrew said modestly, though his expression suggested he didn't feel modest at all. Knowing when to walk away, when to hold firm. Andrew's closed 7 major deals this year, Dad said proudly. 7. At 38 years old. Someone has to uphold the Sterling name in real estate, Andrew said, raising his wine glass toward me. Since some of us chose different paths. All eyes turned to me. I took a sip of water and said nothing. What was it you studied again, Victoria? My Aunt Eleanor asked. Art history. Comparative literature. Right. And what does one do with a comparative literature degree? I teach. Oh, how noble, Melissa said in a tone that suggested teaching was anything but. Where do you teach? At a small private school. Upper West Side. Public or private? Private. Well, that's something at least. Those positions can pay decently. They didn't know I owned the school. I saw no reason to tell them. My oldest brother Christopher set down his scotch. Speaking of careers, I made partner last month. Christopher Sterling, partner, Goldman Sachs. He beamed. Has a nice ring to it. Congratulations, darling, his wife Sophia gushed. We celebrated with a week in Monaco. As one does, Andrew laughed. Nathan, my youngest brother, cleared his throat. I got promoted to senior developer at DataStream. That's wonderful, Nate, Mom said with considerably less enthusiasm than she'd shown for Christopher's news. What's the salary jump? Andrew asked bluntly. Nathan shifted uncomfortably. About $15,000. Puts me at $130,000 total. $130,000, Andrew repeated as if Nathan had said $13. Well, it's a start. You're only 32. Plenty of time to build real wealth. Some of us aren't motivated purely by money, Nathan said defensively. Some of us can't afford to be, Melissa muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Claire squeezed Nathan's hand under the table. What about you, Victoria? Christopher asked. What's a teacher's salary these days? $60,000? $70,000? Something like that, I said vaguely. Brutal, he said, shaking his head. I spend that on my golf club membership. Different priorities, I said. Clearly. The appetizers arrived. Oysters, caviar service, foie gras. Everything gilded and expensive, which was exactly Andrew's style. You know what I don't understand, Andrew said, attacking his oysters, is how you afford Manhattan on a teacher's salary, Victoria. I manage. Do you? Because real estate prices are insane. Even a studio in a decent neighborhood is $3,000 a month. I'm aware. So where do you live? Which neighborhood? Upper West Side. Near the school. How convenient. What do you pay in rent? I don't pay rent. Rent controlled. Melissa asked. Lucky you. Those apartments are impossible to find. Something like that. Andrew leaned back, swirling his wine. Still driving that Honda, I assume? I am. He laughed. That car is 15 years old, Victoria. 15. Don't you think it's time for an upgrade? It runs fine. It's an embarrassment. You pull up to Dad's birthday dinner at Le Bernardin in a 2009 Honda Civic? What must people think? I don't particularly care what people think. Clearly, Melissa said. Though you might care what your family thinks. We have a reputation to maintain. The Sterling name means something, Dad added. Excellence, success, achievement. That car doesn't exactly project those values. It projects reliability and practicality, I said. It projects poverty, Andrew corrected. Pull up to any major restaurant in this city, and the valet will assume you're lost. The whole table laughed. Christopher topped off his scotch. I just bought a Porsche 911 Turbo. $185,000. Drives like a dream. I saw it, Andrew said. Beautiful machine. That's what a Sterling should drive. What does Nathan drive? I asked. Nathan looked uncomfortable. A Subaru Outback. See? Even Nathan, on his modest tech salary, drives something respectable. You're the only one still clinging to that embarrassment on wheels. It has sentimental value, I said. Sentiment doesn't maintain residual value, Christopher said. That's just basic economics. Melissa leaned toward my mother. Margaret, have you tried talking to her? About the car? About her image? Mom sighed. Many times. Victoria is stubborn. I prefer independent, I said. You can be independent in a Mercedes, Andrew said. Independence doesn't require driving garbage. My car isn't garbage. It might as well be. What's it worth now? $3,000? Maybe $4,000 if you find a desperate buyer. Market value isn't everything. Market value is literally everything. It's how we measure worth. I took another bite of Dover sole and let them talk. The entrees arrived. Wagyu beef, butter-poached lobster, truffle risotto. Andrew had spared no expense for Dad's birthday. This meal alone probably costs more than Victoria's car is worth, Christopher joked. More laughter. Nathan spoke quietly. Maybe we should talk about something else. Why? Andrew demanded. Victoria doesn't mind. Do you, sis? Not particularly. See? She knows we're just teasing. Family can be honest with each other. Brutally honest, Melissa agreed. It's how we help each other improve. And Victoria needs improvement, Christopher said. No offense, but you're 36 years old. Teaching at some tiny private school, driving a car older than some of your students, living in God knows what kind of apartment. Rent-controlled studio, Melissa reminded him. Right. It's beneath the Sterling standard. Dad cut into his Wagyu. Victoria was always the rebellious one. Remember when she turned down the job at Sterling Properties? Huge mistake, Andrew said. She could have been making 6 figures by now. I'm making more than 6 figures, I said quietly. The table went silent. What? Andrew asked. I said I'm making more than 6 figures. Doing what? Teaching? Victoria, unless you're the headmaster. I am actually. More silence. You're the headmaster? Mom asked. Of what school? Sterling Academy. Upper West Side. We serve 340 students from pre-K through 12th grade. Sterling Academy, Christopher repeated slowly. That's one of the most prestigious private schools in Manhattan. It is. The tuition there is $65,000 a year, Sophia said, pulling out her phone. We looked into it for the kids. There's a 5-year waiting list. 4 years now, I corrected. We expanded enrollment last year. Andrew's face had gone from ruddy to pale. You're the headmaster of Sterling Academy? Founder and headmaster, yes. Founder, he repeated. I started it 8 years ago. Bought the building, developed the curriculum, hired the faculty. Bought the building? Dad set down his fork. What building? The brownstone on West 78th. 5 stories. We use all of it. Classrooms, library, science labs, gymnasium, administrative offices. Christopher was typing furiously on his phone. West 78th Street brownstone. 5 stories. He looked up, his face ashen. That building is worth $32 million. $34 million, actually. I had it appraised last month for insurance purposes. The silence was deafening. You own a $34 million building, Melissa said faintly. The school owns it. I own the school. How? Andrew demanded. How does a teacher afford a $34 million building? I wasn't a teacher when I bought it. I was an investor. What kind of investor? Real estate initially, then venture capital, then education technology. Nathan was staring at me. Vicky, what are you saying? I'm saying I've been running multiple businesses for the past 12 years. The school is just the most visible one. Dad's hands were trembling. Multiple businesses? Sterling Properties isn't the only real estate company in the family. I started Sterling Holdings about 10 years ago. Sterling Holdings, Christopher repeated. He typed again. His face went from ashen to gray. Sterling Holdings. Private real estate investment firm. Portfolio value. Oh my God. What? Andrew grabbed the phone. Portfolio value of $840 million. That can't be right. It's current as of last quarter, I said. Though with the new Williamsburg acquisition, we'll probably cross $900 million by year-end. Melissa made a choking sound. You have an $840 million real estate portfolio? Dad's voice cracked. The company does. I own 73% of it. The rest is owned by my investment partners. 73% of $840 million. Nathan calculated quickly. That's over $600 million. $613 million technically. But yes. Andrew's wine glass slipped from his fingers. It didn't break, the tablecloth caught it, but wine spread across the white linen like blood. This is impossible, he said. Why is it impossible? Because you drive a Honda. You live in a studio apartment. You dress like... He gestured at my outfit, a simple black dress I'd bought at Nordstrom, like a teacher. I am a teacher. I also happen to own $600 million in real estate assets. How? Mom whispered. How did this happen? Remember when I graduated from Columbia 12 years ago? You all thought I was wasting my literature degree. I was actually using my literature degree as cover while I studied real estate investment, education policy, and venture capital. Cover for what? Dad asked. For building a business you couldn't interfere with. If you'd known I was investing in real estate, you would have tried to control it. Bring it under Sterling Properties. Make it yours instead of mine. The accusation hung in the air. That's not fair, Dad said weakly. Isn't it? Andrew, what happened when you started your first independent deal? Before you joined Sterling Properties? Andrew's face flushed. Dad suggested I bring it under the family company. Suggested. Or insisted. It made business sense. It made control sense. Everything the Sterling family touches becomes Sterling Properties. I didn't want that. So I built my businesses quietly, separately, under different names. Christopher was still scrolling. Sterling Holdings has properties in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Westchester. Combined value. I can't even calculate this. $840 million, like I said. We specialize in mid-market residential properties. Buildings with 20 to 50 units. We buy, renovate, improve management, increase value. That's exactly what Sterling Properties does, Andrew said. I know. I learned from watching Dad. I just did it better. The insult landed like a slap. Better. Dad's voice was dangerous. More efficiently. Better ROI. Faster turnaround times. Sterling Holdings averages 34% annual returns. What does Sterling Properties average? Andrew's silence was answer enough. About 18%, I said. I've been tracking your public filings. Dad stood up abruptly then sat back down. This is insane. My daughter has been running a real estate empire and none of us knew. You knew I had money, I said. You just didn't ask where it came from. We thought you were barely scraping by. Mom protested. Why would you think that? The car. Those. The studio apartment. I never said I lived in a studio. You assumed. I actually own a townhouse in the West Village. 4 stories renovated last year. I use it as my primary residence. West Village townhouse, Sophia whispered. Those start at $8 million. Mine was $12 million. But I paid cash so I got a discount. Nathan laughed. A slightly hysterical sound. You paid cash for a $12 million townhouse. It made tax sense. Tax sense, he repeated. Vicky, I thought you were struggling. We all did. I've been meaning to offer you money. I know. You mentioned it at Christmas. You offered to lend me $5,000. And you said you'd think about it. I said I'd think about it because it was kind of you to offer. I didn't need it, but the gesture was sweet. Melissa had recovered enough to speak. The Honda. If you're worth $600 million, why are you still driving that embarrassment? Because it runs perfectly. Because I bought it with my first paycheck out of college. Because it reminds me where I started. And because, I paused, I find it funny watching people like you judge me for it. That's cruel, she said. Is it? More cruel than calling my car an embarrassment? Than laughing about my supposed poverty? Than assuming I'm a failure because I don't drive a Porsche? No one had an answer. The restaurant manager approached our table looking apologetic. Excuse me, Miss Sterling? Yes. Your driver called. He says the Rolls-Royce Phantom is blocking the entrance. Several guests are complaining. Shall he move it to the parking garage? My brother went pale when the restaurant manager said Rolls-Royce. Complete silence at our table. Which car? I asked the manager. The Phantom, ma'am. The custom midnight blue one. Not the Cullinan? No, ma'am. The Cullinan is already in the garage. This is the Phantom that just arrived. Andrew made a strangled sound. Yes, please have James move it to the garage, I said. And let him know I'll be ready to leave in about an hour. Of course, Miss Sterling. Shall I also have him bring around the Bentley for your guests? My guests drove themselves, but thank you. The manager bowed slightly and departed. I turned back to my family. Sorry about that. James is punctual to a fault. I told him 9 p.m. and it's exactly 9 p.m. You have a Rolls-Royce, Andrew whispered. 2 actually. The Phantom and the Cullinan. Plus a Bentley Flying Spur, a Range Rover, and yes, the Honda. 2 Rolls-Royces, Christopher said numbly. The Phantom is for city driving. The Cullinan is for when I need more space. The Bentley is for special occasions. The Range Rover is for the East Hampton house. The Honda is for when I want to be underestimated. East Hampton house, Dad repeated. Oceanfront. 6 bedrooms. I mostly use it in summer, though it's lovely in fall too. Melissa gripped the edge of the table. How much is a Rolls-Royce Phantom? Base model starts around $460,000. Mine is custom, so closer to $680,000. And the Cullinan? $850,000. Again, custom specifications. The Bentley? $245,000. The Range Rover? $180,000. Nathan was calculating on his phone. That's almost $2 million in cars. $1.955 million not counting the Honda. Though the Honda has appreciated in sentimental value even if it's depreciated in market value. Andrew stood up, swayed, and sat back down. This is impossible. You keep saying that. Because it is. You're a teacher. I'm a headmaster. And a real estate investor. And a venture capitalist. And apparently a car collector, though I prefer to think of them as tools rather than collection pieces. The valet appeared at the dining room entrance holding a key fob. Miss Sterling? We've moved the Phantom to the executive garage. Your driver is waiting whenever you're ready. Thank you. After the valet left, Christopher spoke in a strangled voice. The valet knows you. By name. At Lou Bernardine. I eat here frequently. Usually in the main dining room, but Andrew wanted the private room for Dad's birthday. You eat at Lou Bernardine frequently, he repeated. Their halibut is excellent. And Jean-Georges, of course. And Daniel. Though lately I've been preferring smaller places. There's a wonderful Italian place in the village. Stop, Dad commanded. Just stop. I need to understand what's happening. What's happening is we're having dinner for your 65th birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. Victoria, he said, his voice shaking. How did you hide this? For years. How did we not know? You didn't ask. You saw what you expected to see. Victoria, the teacher with her old car and her modest lifestyle. You never asked about my finances, my investments, my businesses. You assumed I was struggling and you stopped looking. But someone must have known, Mom said. Your accountant, your lawyer. They know. My business partners know. The people I work with know. But none of them are family, so you never encountered them. Except James, Andrew said bitterly. Your driver. James has been with me for 4 years. He's excellent. Very discreet. How much do you pay a driver? $120,000 annually, plus benefits and bonuses. He's worth every penny. Melissa laughed. A harsh, brittle sound. You pay your driver more than most people earn. I pay market rate for exceptional service. James is former Secret Service. His skills are valuable. Former Secret Service, Nathan repeated. Vicky, who are you? I considered the question. I'm the same person I've always been. You just never bothered to know me. That's not true, Mom started. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked about my work? My actual work, not your assumptions about my work. She had no answer. At Christmas, I continued, you asked if I was still playing teacher. That was your exact phrase. Playing teacher. I didn't mean. You meant exactly what you said. You've all spent years dismissing what I do because it doesn't look like what you do. Andrew does real estate, so he's successful. Christopher does investment banking, so he's successful. Nathan does tech, so at least he's trying. Me? I'm just playing teacher. We had no idea you were running businesses, Dad said. Because you never asked what I was teaching. Never asked about the school. Never asked if I had other ventures. You saw teacher and stopped looking. Christopher pulled up something on his phone. Sterling Academy. Founded 2016 by Victoria Sterling, Ed from Columbia. You have a doctorate? Sophia asked. Doctorate in education. I got it while building the school. Finished it 3 years ago. You never told us, Mom whispered. You never asked. At graduation you asked if I was still doing that school thing. I said yes. You changed the subject. The entrees sat cooling, forgotten. The fleet, Andrew said abruptly. The valet said fleet. You have more cars. I told you, 2 Rolls-Royces, the Bentley, the Range Rover, the Honda. That's 5 cars worth, he calculated quickly, about $2 million. For one person. Each car serves a purpose. The Phantom for city business meetings. The Cullinan for family outings when I have guests. The Bentley for galas and formal events. The Range Rover for weekend escapes. The Honda for grocery shopping and amusing myself. Amusing yourself, Melissa repeated. It's entertaining watching people's reactions. Like tonight. The valet's face when I pull up in the Honda versus when James brings the Phantom. It's instructive about human nature. It's manipulative, Andrew snapped. Is it? Or is it just allowing people to reveal their true characters without my wealth influencing them? You let us believe you were poor. I never said I was poor. You assumed I was poor because I didn't perform wealth the way you do. That says more about you than me. Dad's phone rang. He glanced at it, silenced it. That was my accountant. He wants to discuss Sterling Properties' quarterly numbers. They're down. I know, I said. I saw the filing. You track Sterling Properties? Of course. I track all major real estate firms in the metro area. Competition analysis is basic business strategy. Competition, he said slowly. You see us as competition. Sterling Holdings competes in the same market as Sterling Properties. So yes, we're competitors. We're family. We can be both. Andrew competes with other developers. Christopher competes with other bankers. Why can't I compete with other real estate investors, even if one happens to be my father? The question hung unanswered. Nathan spoke quietly. The $600 million. Is that your total net worth? No. That's my real estate holdings. Total net worth is higher. How much higher? I debated not answering. But we'd come this far. Last quarter's statement showed $1.4 billion in total assets. But that's liquid and illiquid combined and valuations fluctuate, so I don't put too much weight on the exact number. $1.4 billion, Nathan whispered. Give or take. Give or take, he repeated. Vicky, you're a billionaire. Technically yes. Though again that's including illiquid assets like real estate, the school, my VC fund. Your VC fund, Christopher interrupted. You have a venture capital fund? Sterling Ventures. We invest in education technology startups. Current fund value is about $280 million. $280 million, he said faintly. We've had good returns. Education technology is booming. Our portfolio companies have a combined valuation of about $2 billion, though we own minority stakes in most. Dad stood up. This time he stayed standing. I need air. He walked out of the private dining room. Mom followed him, tears streaming down her face. Andrew, Christopher, Nathan, and their wives sat in stunned silence. Finally, Melissa spoke. You let us mock you. For years. You let us make fun of your car, your clothes, your career. And you're a billionaire. Yes. Why? Because I wanted to see who you really were. What you really valued. Whether you'd respect me for who I am or only for what I have. And what did you learn? Andrew asked bitterly. That you measure worth in dollars. That you respect wealth more than character. That you'd rather drive a Porsche than a Honda, even if the Honda is more practical. Practical, he scoffed. You have $2 million in cars. Don't talk to me about practical. I have cars that serve specific purposes for my lifestyle and business needs. You have a Porsche because it makes you feel important. There's a difference. Christopher slammed his hand on the table. This is insane. Our little sister, the teacher, is richer than all of us combined. Is that what bothers you? That I'm richer? Or that I did it without your help or approval? Both, he shouted. You made us look like fools. You made yourselves look like fools. I just didn't correct your assumptions. Nathan rubbed his face. The offer to lend you money. At Christmas. You must have thought I was ridiculous. I thought you were kind. You noticed what you thought was a need and offered to help. That's actually lovely, Nate. It showed you cared. But you didn't need it. No. But the offer still mattered. Did it? Or were you laughing at me the whole time? I wasn't laughing. I was grateful that at least one of my brothers cared more about helping me than judging me. Sophia pulled up something on her phone. Sterling Academy tuition is $65,000 per year. With 340 students, that's $22 million in annual revenue. $22.1 million, yes. Though we offer significant financial aid. About 40% of our students receive assistance. Our actual revenue after aid is closer to $18 million. And your expenses? About $14 million. Teachers are expensive, especially good ones. And our facilities are top tier. But yes, the school is profitable. That's not why I run it, though. Why do you run it? Claire asked. It was the first time Nathan's wife had spoken. Because education matters. Because children deserve excellent teachers, small class sizes, comprehensive curricula. Because I can provide that. You could provide that at any school. Why start your own? Because I wanted to build something that couldn't be compromised by budget cuts or board politics. Something sustainable and excellent. Sterling Academy will still be providing exceptional education long after I'm gone. That's actually beautiful, Claire said softly. Thank you. Andrew stood abruptly. I need a drink. A real drink. He walked to the bar cart in the corner and poured himself 4 fingers of scotch. Christopher joined him. They stood there, backs to the table, drinking in silence. Melissa leaned toward me. The clothes. I need to know. Are they secretly designer? Hidden labels. Some are designer. Some aren't. This dress is Oscar de la Renta. $3,400. I like the cut. You're wearing a $3,400 dress and I thought you shopped at Target. I also shop at Target. Their basics are excellent quality. My running clothes are from Target. This is surreal, Sophia said. Nathan looked at me across the table. Are you happy, Vicky? The question caught me off guard. What? Are you happy? With all this money, all these businesses, all this success, are you happy? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yes, I finally said. I love my work. I love the school, watching kids learn and grow. I love the real estate projects, transforming buildings and neighborhoods. I love the venture capital work, helping entrepreneurs build education companies. I love my life. Even the part where your family doesn't know you? That hurt. That's not my choice, Nate. I'm here. I've always been here. You just never looked closely enough to see me. We see you now. Do you? Or do you just see my money? He had no answer. Mom and Dad returned. Dad looked older, tired. Mom's eyes were red from crying. Victoria, Dad said heavily. We need to talk. Really talk. About all of this. Okay. But not tonight. Not here. This is my birthday dinner and I don't want it ruined. Ruined by what? By learning your daughter is successful. Ruined by learning we don't know our daughter at all. The words hung in the air. We finished dinner in near silence. The birthday cake came, an elaborate chocolate creation that probably cost more than my Honda. We sang, Happy Birthday. We took photos. Through it all, my family looked at me differently. Like I was a stranger. Like I'd become someone they'd never met. Maybe I had. Or maybe I'd always been this person and they just never bothered to look. At 9:30 I stood. I should go. Early morning tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Mom asked. Board meeting for Sterling Academy. Then a property walkthrough in Williamsburg. Then a pitch meeting with a new ed tech startup. That's a lot, Nathan said. That's normal. I kissed Mom's cheek, hugged Dad, nodded to my brothers. Vicky, Andrew called as I reached the door. The Honda. Why do you really keep it? I smiled. Because it reminds me that worth isn't determined by price tags. Because I bought it when I had $300 in my bank account and a dream. Because it still runs perfectly after 15 years, which is more than I can say for most expensive things. And because it lets you judge us, he said. That too. I walked out of Lou Bernardine into the cool night air. James stood beside the Phantom, its midnight blue paint gleaming under the streetlights. Good evening, Miss Sterling, he said, opening the rear door. Evening, James. Home, please. Of course, ma'am. I settled into the leather seats, custom cream leather heated with built-in massage. The car was worth more than my father made in a year at Sterling Properties. And I'd bought it with cash. As we drove through Manhattan, I looked out at the city I'd conquered quietly, methodically, without fanfare or family approval. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. Asterisk, I'm proud of you, Vicky. I should have said that at dinner. I should have said it years ago. But I'm saying it now. Asterisk. Then Claire. Asterisk, Nathan's right. You're amazing. We'd love to have lunch and really get to know you. The real you. Asterisk. Then surprisingly, Andrew. Asterisk, I've been an ass. For years. I'm sorry. Can we start over? Asterisk. Then Christopher. Asterisk, coffee this week? Just us. I want to understand how you did it. Asterisk. Then Mom. Asterisk, I love you, Victoria. I'm sorry I never asked about your life. I'm asking now. Asterisk. And finally, Dad. Asterisk, Sterling Holdings is impressive. I'd like to learn more. Maybe we can grab lunch this week? I promise to listen this time. Asterisk. I stared at the messages, tears blurring my vision. They were trying. Finally, they were trying. I typed back to the group. Asterisk, lunch sounds good. But I'm picking the restaurant. And we're taking the Honda. Asterisk. Nathan responded immediately. Deal. Andrew, the Honda it is. Christopher, I actually want to ride in the famous Honda. Mom, whatever you want, sweetheart. Dad, I'll be there. As James pulled up to my West Village townhouse. 4 stories of red brick and white trim, worth more than Sterling Properties' quarterly revenue, I smiled. Tonight my family had finally seen me. Not poor Victoria, the struggling teacher. But Victoria Sterling. Entrepreneur. Educator. Investor. Billionaire. Just Victoria. And tomorrow we'd start building something real. Something based on truth instead of assumptions. Something that might actually resemble a genuine relationship. But tonight, I climbed the stairs to my $12 million townhouse, poured myself a glass of wine from my temperature-controlled cellar, and stood on my rooftop terrace overlooking the city. My city. The one I'd conquered in a 15-year-old Honda, one quiet investment at a time. And I'd never felt more successful. Not because of the money, but because I'd finally forced my family to see past it. To see me. And that was worth more than all the Rolls-Royces in the world. Almost. I raised my glass to the skyline and smiled. Tomorrow we take the Honda to lunch. And I couldn't wait to see their faces.